Welcome to Nevada Week Extras. We're talking emergency preparedness now.
Most people in our community can't comprehend the idea of that happening to us, but we are an island in the desert. We are many, many miles away from any significant help. And if we were to have an earthquake, which we can have a sizable earthquake in this community, the science supports that, we can be cut off from a lot of assistance. We don't grow our own food. We import all of our fuel. If something happens to our pipeline, something happens to the 4 ways in and out of this valley by road, we're going to be short of resources. So it's really important that people think about not just knowing how to stop the bleed and those sorts of things, but to have a real preparedness kit at home and to have real food and water supplies and to think about emergency medical issues, family members who might be on medications. So many people won't think about preparing for themselves, but they will prepare for their pet. Right? They care so much about their pet, they'll think about preparedness for their pet and then fail to prepare for themselves. Or sometimes vice versa. They prepare for their family and they forget about Fido. So it's really important that people think about what it could really mean to be cut off from massive amounts of supplies for several days at a time.
That was the next question. How long could something like this happen? We'll use the earthquake example. 15 goes out both directions, what have you. How long are we, quote unquote, stranded?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that we definitely want all of our citizens to be able to be self-sustainable for 72 hours at a minimum. That's the minimum number that we ask for them to be. Could be longer than that, depending on the amount of destruction, but 72-hour kit, self-sustained, either within your home or able to leave your home and still sustain yourself is what we recommend.
Okay, so what would be in that kit?
So I was just going to mention that.
Yes, thank you.
Again, that's the first unit we teach because people really don't have an idea. We're spoiled here. Okay, the thing I tell everyone, look, you're taking this cert class, you're going to learn all this cool stuff, right? The reality of us having a major incident is down on the list compared to places in the South, Midwest, okay, all Gulf states, right? However, it could happen, and you need to think about this. So there are lists. I mean, like Carolyn mentioned, I mean, stuff for your dog, extra medications for your senior citizens or those that take the medications, extra formula for your kids. Okay, blankets, flashlights, another form of communication. If something happens here, we could lose all communication. However, you might be able to reach someone in another state, you know, via cell or something like that.
What about generators? Is that a good idea?
In the grand scheme of things, yes. If we had that incident, yes, it would be, absolutely.
But you don't need a county-wide catastrophe to need this preparedness.
True.
It can be just your own neighborhood, it can be your own home. You look at just 2014 when we had the flooding out in Moapa that washed out the I-15. A lot of people don't understand the impact that had on some members of the community and that they had to have that self-reliance. We've seen it, and that interrupted our supply chain. Now, we had some resources in place that brought the I-15 back up much faster than if it had been at a different time of year without those resources that were right there. And we might have felt that more within the community, but it does not have to be a life-altering earthquake for this to affect you. You have to have this preparedness down, and you also have to, like Fernandez said, you have to have a plan. If you leave I've been to a lot of communities where people have had to evacuate over the years. I'm on one of the national urban search and rescue teams. What everybody wants to know is, where's my family? Mm-hmm. Where is my family, right? And you need to have that plan on if you have to evacuate your house, how you're gonna find your family out in front of your house. If you have to leave your neighborhood, where are you going to find your family outside the neighborhood? And if you have to leave your entire community, how are you going to get back in touch and get back together? Every family needs to put that together and figure that out.
I want to go back to the CERT training for a few minutes. Individuals, certainly we talked about that. Can schools, businesses sign up as a group for CERT training?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Those are called the closed classes. And we do a lot of those, probably half and half, quite frankly, what we do between open and closed classes. And it's fun when we do that because everyone kind of knows each other and they're very excited about working with people they're comfortable with, you know. And you definitely see the light bulb go off and they really start understanding, wait a minute, this really could go south. But once I know a little bit more about Carolyn and what she can do, I know what she brings to the table. That makes me feel more comfortable.
I want to go back to 1 October for a minute. Do you have a good Samaritan? You were there. You were on the ground. Do you have a good Samaritan story that you
I
can
have
share?
tons of them. I'm going to share one, and I hope I don't break down. I'm just being honest with you because it's still fresh at times. Okay. Again, there were tons of people just grabbing folks and throwing them in their trucks, and I was going to stop them. My initial reaction was to stop them because we don't transport people. All right, that was the paramedic in me coming out, waiting to say stop, and I really realized in that instant, it doesn't matter. This is how these people are getting out of here because, again, there were no firefighters or EMS folks at the time where we were at. There's one story that I truly love, though, and it was these two young ladies. It was actually the first victim I'd come to, and he'd been shot in the leg, but he was calm. We had him covered, and a few folks laying about in this area. These young ladies were walking down, and they were the typical concert-goer young ladies, blonde hair, blue eyes, with little jean dresses and, you know, the boots and everything. And they were stopping each spot, and I'm like, what are they doing? Are they just trying to get in the middle of all of this? What they were actually doing, they came over to my patient, and they started reaching. I almost grabbed their hand and pushed it away. And thank God I didn't, because what they were doing is they were actually going along praying for people. That's what they were doing. Each person they came to, they just put their hands on them and started praying for them. It was the sweetest, most innocent thing that they could do. Is the only thing that they can do. That's all they could bring to the table, so to speak. But to watch that and how he reacted and everybody around, that was a beautiful moment for me, quite frankly.